The Going to Bed Book by Sandra Boynton. The sun has set not long ago. Now everybody goes below to take a bath in one big tub with soap all over. Scrub, scrub, scrub. They hang their towels on the wall and find pajamas big and small. With some on top and some beneath, they brush and brush and brush their teeth. And when the moon is on the rise, they all go up to exercise. And down once more, but not so fast. They're on their way to bed at last. The day is done, they say good night, and somebody turns out the light. The moon is high, the sea is deep. They rock and rock and rock to sleep. Hello, this is Gina.
And this is Don with Focused Healthy Family, and this is podcast number 155. And today we're talking about exercising after 50. And before we get too far into it, I want to read. I actually found, again, we're going back to Caregivers 101 guide from Mike Collins. It's 100 ways to keep caregiving from making you crazy. And in here, he talks about some tips. Now, these are a little different than what we talked about, but I think it's good that we share them anyway. Caregiving experts are unanimous in encouraging caregivers to maintain health by exercising, to which caregivers say, when do we have time? Here are 5 ways to build exercise into your day. Number 1, park your car far enough away from your destination so you get a little walking. For instance, when you visit a hospital or a mall, park at the far edge of the parking lot as long as it's a safe spot. The few minutes extra it takes you to walk can count as exercise minutes. Number 2, don't take the elevator if you're going up into a building less than 4 floors. Walking stairs is a quick way to build exercise into your day. Number 3, walk while you're talking on the cell phone, but be careful. Whether you are walking up or down halls, up or downstairs, or outside, the minutes walking count as your exercise. Number 4, playing with your kids does double duty. You can get quality time with your children, and movement they bring into your life is healthy. Number 5, making a walking date. Just as playing with your children does double duty, making a walking date can help you stay in touch with friends and combine the fellowship with exercise. And the final note here, a study from Duke University shows that 10 minutes of strenuous exercise help prevent the onset of depressive symptoms. Even short periods of exercise can help.
First, we have an article that Don found.
Yeah, back in my AARP magazine, now that I get
What
that.
month is that, Don?
It's this month, February
Of
so
2025.
2025. And the article is called Get Fit for a Better Future. And so it talks about exercises that may be difficult for you to be able to handle. And a lot of times there are some daily stuff that we do.
So different daily activities that can be challenging, and these are ways to exercise to strengthen those muscles that are needed for those daily activities.
So what we did today is we're going to go through each of these, and we'll actually put up a video that we work
We'll
together
demonstrate them.
demonstrating them. So the first one we're covering is called carrying the groceries. When you walk while holding an object, one side of your body usually works a little harder than the other. This stresses varied muscles unevenly, and any weak link in your body's chain can result in pain and stiffness, making the simple task difficult. Adding an exercise that strengthens your glutes, core, pelvic stabilizers, shoulders, upper back, forearms, and especially your wrists and hands can keep your body prepared for anything.
And so each of these different exercises, like we said, kind of focuses on different muscle groups to strengthen them.
Hold the weight in your left hand and let your arm hang down at your side. Stand upright with your feet hip width apart. core muscles contracted, and your shoulder blades pulled back towards each other. Holding this posture, walk forward about 10 to 15 feet, stop and turn, switch the weight of your right hand, and then retrace your steps. It says repeat a total of 6 to 8 times. Keep your shoulder even as you walk. If you start to sag towards the weighted side, either correct your posture or switch to a lighter weight. The next one is walking pain-free. One of the biggest impediments to walking comfortably is hip pain, but the source of that pain may surprise you. There are very strong correlations between hip pain and ankle immobility. When our ankles get stiff, we adjust our stride to accommodate our lack of mobility that can eventually lead to a sore hip. This exercise strengthens the muscles that run up and down the front of your chin, helping reduce your risk of pain when walking up or down hills. It also loosens up Achilles tendon and the muscles of the lower leg.
So if we're hurting, we don't want to walk, or it's uncomfortable to walk long distances, to just take an exercise walk. And that leaves us sitting, and that leaves our muscles getting tighter. And so we need to break that cycle because it is so important to move our bodies. The more we sit, muscles tense up and tighten up, and then it's harder to move. So to strengthen the muscles that you use in walking, you're going to sit on a chair, up tall in the chair with your back straight. You're going to take one leg, place it out in front of you, lifting it a few inches off the floor. Draw your toes back. Hold this position for 1 to 2 seconds. And then reverse the motion by pointing your toe forward. So you're going to flex and point, holding a couple seconds, continuing this exercise to help these muscles down here that can get tight. And then you'll repeat with the other leg. We don't realize how important having our ankles strong can be. It also affects your balance if you have weakness in your ankles.
The next one is putting away dishes. Reaching up high to put away in your cabinet, stow luggage on an overhead compartment of an airplane, or toss a basketball into a hoop is much more about mobility as it is about strength. Through having strong rotator cuff muscles can make lifting things overhead less difficult and safer. The starting point for most people is improving the overall range of the shoulder joint so they can raise their arms up easily.
I see this often in the elderly population. People have maybe had an injury to their shoulder, or they got arthritis developing, and it gets harder and harder to move, and so they don't, and then everything gets stiffer in there. And so we don't realize how limiting our ability to move is if we can't move our shoulders. And so catching it now rather than just going, oh yeah, I got the soreness in my shoulder. If you're saying that at 50, 60, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, it's only going to get worse. And so we need to keep our motion moving.
And I know too, when we stress too, a lot of our shoulder is on our shoulders too. So it's that and physical that can work on it. Stand with your arms down by your side. Keep your left arm straight. Rotate it in a circle by raising it up and out in front of you, and then overhead and back down around behind you until you return to the starting position. Your right arm should remain motionless. Imagine you're drawing a big circle at your side and try to bring your shoulder through the greatest range of motion possible. Do 2 sets of 12 circles with each arm. The next is sliding out of bed. Getting out of bed is much different movement than lifting yourself from a chair because your hips have to rotate as you get up. This move targets the muscles involved, including your core, hip flexors, abductors, adductors, external rotators, and pelvic stability muscles, and will make exiting your vehicle or tub easier to do.
So, something we don't typically think about. We get up in the morning, we just get up out of bed. Yet, the population I work with, when someone's been in the hospital, and we're especially over 65, but if there's other medical conditions, even younger ages, that's a challenge. And so, when people come to the rehab center, that's one thing we look at right away, working on getting out of bed. And there's a combination of movements that are involved, being able to roll, being able to swing your legs over and to push yourself up. So focusing on all these different muscles and what it takes, because that's how it's easy to strain something when muscles are weak and we're trying to do something. People often say, I don't know why my shoulder's hurting. Well, they've been pulling themselves in bed and having to rely heavily on their arms, if there's been a leg injury.
Stand next to a sturdy chair or place a box or a stack of towels along the outside of your left foot. Keep an eye on your feet and, and a hand on the chair for balance. Step your left foot up and over the box, then step your right foot up and over the box. Reverse the motion by stepping your right foot over and over, followed by your left. Do 10 to 15 reps, then place the box at the outside your right foot and repeat. Our next one is opening jars. Strong hands and forearms make life easier, whether it's turning keys, opening doors, holding a pet's leash, or maintaining a firm, safe grip on knives. When cooking, your grip goes beyond being able to twist something open. Grip strengthen has associated with one's risk of uh, frailty and cognitive decline. A strong grip also keeps you safer by making it easier to hold on to handles and railings, as well as being able to catch yourself if you lose your balance.
And a simple thing is just stretching your hand, extending your fingers, spreading the fingers, and a tight fist, thumb over fingers, and just resisting as you do that. It's one simple thing you can do without any props or anything.
Hold the loosely scrunched washcloth in your right hand with your right arm in front of you, palm facing the ceiling. Squeeze the washcloth as tightly as you can for 1 second, then relax your grip. Repeat at a quick pace for 20 seconds. Turn your wrist so your palm faces towards your left. Repeat for 20 seconds. Then finish by facing your palm down towards the floor for a final 20 seconds. Repeat each 2 to 3 times.
You can also wet your washcloth. So this can be done when you're showering, and you're just going to squeeze the water out. So it's something we might do all the time, but you can intentionally do it as an exercise.
Well, the next one comes up with lifting the little ones.
And
And
so it might be a matter of picking up a grandkid or a child or a niece or nephew, or maybe you're trying to pick up some object from the floor, even a pillow, even something light, having to bend down to get them.
and the hurt that could happen if it isn't done right.
And if you don't have the strength, yeah.
Bending down to pick something or someone up requires strength and flexibility in what's known as the posterior chain muscles, the lower back, hamstring, and buttocks. This exercise stretches and strengthens those muscles and helps maintain flexibility in your hips as well, and will make any activity that involves bending down easier. Stand with your feet hip width apart, knees slightly bent, a light dumbbell in each hand, palms facing your thighs. Gently tighten your core and buttocks. Keep your back straight Bend forward at the hips so your bottom moves backwards. Stop once you feel a stretch in your back of your thighs. Reverse the motion by shifting your hips forward, and you should straighten up naturally. Try to use the muscles of your back. Squeeze the glutes once you're back into a standing position. Do, do the movement 8 to 12 times. Rest for 120 seconds, then repeat the exercise twice more.
As we demonstrate in this exercise, the exercise is to strengthen these muscles that allow us to bend down. Yet, if you are bending down to get something, I strongly encourage, unless you have some particular injury, using your legs and not your back. And so, what does that mean? That means bending at your knees, holding in your stomach, and also keeping the object close to you. If you're reaching out here to pick up something, it's more strain on your back. And so to protect your back, they say lift with your legs, not your back. But this exercise can be done with a weight that's not too heavy to strengthen all those other muscles because they're all important.
All right, and I think the last one here is climbing the stairs. Climbing the stairs called heavily on the quadriceps, the muscles at the front of your thighs, particularly the vastus medialis obliques. Your VMOs help stabilize your knees, which is why weakening in those muscles is linked to knee pain, walking up and down steps. Targeting this muscle regularly not only makes climbing stairs more tolerable and less painful, it improves overall knee stability and balance. The best exercise for these muscles is simply climbing the stairs, but if stairs aren't plentiful where you live, consider adding this exercise into your daily routine.
And even if you don't have stairs to deal with, there's often times when we need to step up on a curb or some other device or stepping over like the shower, the side of the shower or tub to get into the shower. There are instances where we need to step over something. So maybe you live in a house and you're fortunate and you have no stairs. You can take a book, a couple books, have something, a block that you can use to step on to practice this exercise. Or if you're strong and healthy enough, go to the curb, the sidewalk.
Yeah, but I mean, we all run into places where we have to step up, like in a office, less than four. I think they said less than four flights. But anyway, you had some other thoughts that you came up with.
Oh, so you're talking about if you go somewhere, taking the stairs rather than the
Mhm.
elevator is an option to get that exercise. Climbing the stairs. Step up and stand with both feet on the bottom step of a staircase. Now turn your entire body 90 degrees to the right, keeping your left foot flat on the step, but allowing your right foot to hang off. All of your body weight should shift onto your left leg. Keeping your back straight, bend your left leg slightly and lightly touch your right heel to the floor. Then stand back up. Repeat for as many repetitions as possible until fatigued. Stop when you could maybe do two more. Rest until you feel fully recovered, then switch positions. Right foot on the floor, left foot hanging off, and repeat the exercise. And so we've gone over some, as per this article, challenging things that we encounter, like carrying groceries, um, sliding out of bed, opening jars, picking up children. And these are different exercises that can be done to strengthen those muscles. Well, another thing people often say is, I don't have time to exercise. I'm too busy. I've got to run here. I've got to pick my kid up. Then I've got to go, take care of my mom's laundry. And then I've got to do this. So, how can we incorporate some simple, small exercises into our daily routine? So, first of all, just thinking about your posture. We do so many activities that we're forward, whether we're on our phone, whether we're driving, we're getting paperwork on the computer. And so it's so important to stretch these muscles through here. And a simple thing you can do, whether you're sitting or standing or even laying down, first raise your shoulders up and then really pull them down and then pull them back. And so your chest is out, and then bring your head back. And if you can stand up against a wall, you can put your heels up against the back of the wall and try to line your shoulders and your head up, kind of sucking in your stomach a little as you do to stabilize your hips. And also just sitting here, stretching your shoulders. So whether you're sitting in the car at a red light or waiting for someone in the grocery line, a simple exercise to do. You're at the sink getting ready. I call it my curling my eyelashes stretch, and I stand up and hold on to the counter, and I bring my foot up behind me and hold it there to stretch what the quadricep, the very front of your thigh from your hip down to your knee. And I hold it and I stand there and I might take some deep breaths and things. And so sometimes you can do these simple things while you're also getting ready, brushing your teeth. An easy one is where you put one leg back behind you, straightening it and bending the front leg and kind of bringing that back heel down to stretch through that leg and then switching legs. And it's good to hold stretches 10 to 30 seconds, depending on how it feels. You want it to feel a stretch, but not painful. And so, kind of gradually increasing the stretch by extending the movement. So that's something you can do standing at the counter. Um, Another thing I wanted to take note of is when you're sitting, the most ideal ergonomic position is for our hips, our knees, and our ankles to be at 90 degrees.
Not bent under my leg like this one is right now.
So this is why I lower my chair when we're sitting here, Don, because otherwise my hips are higher than my knees, and that puts this extra stress on your back. So if you have an adjustable height chair, lowering it down so that your knees and hips, if you took a level, that they would be even with each other. And then with your feet on the floor, everything's making that 90-degree angle, like the corner of a piece of paper. And so sometimes it can be a matter of using a step stool or lowering a chair or changing the height of the table you're at. You can either raise it up with, um, a book or something you can put underneath it. So, what other ways can we exercise? Just as part of your daily routine, you get up out of bed. Like sometimes we stretch, just doing a simple stretch up and bending down. Sometimes I'll do this in the shower. Talked about wringing out the washcloth. That's real easy to do while in the shower, even if you don't do it 10 times in a row. Um, if you're standing somewhere waiting, you can march in place. You can do some stretches. You can do some lunges. If you're sitting, bringing your arms and again, your shoulders down and back and really stretching them out because again, we spend so much time with our arms bent that if you try to stretch your arm out in front of you, it might feel tight through here. Um,
Well, like they talk about in our um, the message we gave right up front about parking away, parking at the end of the shopping center and walking up instead of driving up if it's safe anyway. Things like that. Not taking the elevator, taking the steps. I think about what we did a couple of years ago, and probably about 2 years ago, with one of the first people we interviewed was Rita Gardner, and the way she
Simple
did
self-care.
simple stuff. I remember her talking about putting her foot up on the counter as she was brushing her teeth, and that kind of thing. And most people, when we think about exercise, they think, well, I'm going to have to take an hour or 20 minutes or something like that. And that's great if you can do that once in a while. But if you don't have that kind of time, then doing a minute here, a minute there, take adding the extra breath into it also helps to kind of relax the body and relax the mind.
And if you
So,
can incorporate some simple things into your daily routine, then it can just become part of what you do in the morning. I get up, if I brush my teeth, I stretch my leg as I'm doing it. I'm in the shower, I'm wringing washcloths out a couple times, finding ways to incorporate these little activities for different strengthening, especially if you're sitting. We do a lot of waiting, whether we're in the car waiting to pick up a kid from somewhere or in line for the pharmacy or we're on the phone on hold, use that speaker or use a headset and set your phone down and be hands free and even just sit there and stretch while you're doing it. Just some gentle neck stretches. It's always good to move the neck slowly. And so you take it to where you can and you hold it at that end point and slowly move it back. Um,
Well, I
Sitting
remember
down, you could march in place.
I was going to say when I would drive a lot of times because when you drive it's a long sometimes it could be a long drive and I find myself lifting my leg. I'll put it on cruise control so I can use my legs to go up and down, maybe do some, like you say, some exercises with my hand and just kind of loosen things up.
Yeah, when we stop on trips, I'd often lean against the car and do some stretches from, all that sitting. Really put your body in a position where the muscles are tensing up and tightening. So finding these ways to incorporate this in your life. And then, yes, ideally taking a good 10 minutes or more when you're able to and getting into some healthy habit, whether it's walking, maybe you're out gardening or working in your yard. These things are all forms of exercise. Taking a walk, walking with friends,
Put some music to it too. Give you a little extra time or something to watch while you're doing it too.
listening to a book or
Mhm.
podcast, or there's different ways to incorporate it. Maybe by the time you get home, it's really late, but maybe you can walk where you work before you leave, or in the morning, you could take a walk. So taking a little bit of time for yourself, it goes a long way in setting you up, having more energy and healthy body. Our body systems and everything needs us to be moving for our brain to work properly.
Which isn't working real great
I
right
need
now.
more exercise.
Yes.
And so thinking about these different things throughout your day and what you can do to help keep your body moving and strong. So that's our podcast for today. We hope you've enjoyed it. We'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Please forward this to anyone you know who might be interested. Look back at our previous podcasts and see the different topics that we've covered, from caring for young children and parenting in general to caring for aging loved ones and managing our own self care. We've covered things like divorce and foster care and different aspects of caring for elderly. We've interviewed lots of different people, so please check out all our different podcasts. Come to learn how I can help you, how Don and I can both help you navigating the journey of caring for your aging loved one. We've done some Ask the OT discussions that you can access. You can work one-on-one with me. The best way to help you in your situation is for me to meet you and your loved one, whether it's virtually or in person, and understanding their personality, yours, the family dynamic, their specific challenges and struggles, and wherever you're at in the journey, whether you're just trying to figure out how to better communicate with them, you're frustrated by them, or you're having to figure out, should they still live at home, or you're
Or they need
thinking.
to clean baggage from old history or whatever. They need to kind of clear the mind so that they can be there for their aging loved one.
And yeah, if you're dealing with the emotional part of things, and kind of just overwhelmed by that, check out tomorrow
Hi,
night, Friday night, February, no,
February
yeah.
28th, 7 o'clock. We're going to be, and then in the next month in March, we're going to start doing these on a weekly basis.
So these are tapping sessions with
Tapping
Don
session, yes.
online, doing EFT live and in person with Don um, at no cost. Just join in on the group. Sometimes you get one person, sometimes you have several.
Right.
And it's an opportunity to learn. And even if you already have learned tapping, taking a break from your day to incorporate this.
And
Another.
simply go to focushealthyfamily.com/EFT group.
Remember, you can find us on Facebook at Focused Healthy Family. Follow us on Instagram, Focused Healthy Family 1, on YouTube at Focused Healthy Family. You can watch each podcast. We air them every Thursday. You can find them anywhere you listen to a podcast, as well as on YouTube. And remember, how you speak to your children and your loved ones today shapes their future and yours.